They're not printed, but they're labeled.
Okay, I have another game of Netrunner here. This is just sort of a casual game we were playing between a couple of rounds and a tournament. So this was an interesting game, and we'll see why in a bit. But so I'm playing Wayland, and this is not a Sea Scorch Wayland. I'm just playing around with what could we do with those card slots if Sea Source is not a thing, and Scorched Earth. So it's probably not the best way to play Wayland, but I'm just testing it out, getting a feel for it. And we have Andromeda on the other side. And I got the impression from Adam here that this was, you know, a deck he was experimenting with. So I didn't get starting off. I didn't know.
Okay. Yep.
So he ran archives and he put data leak down.
Starting already.
So now this is giving me some hints as to, so he can't use data leak yet. Data leak will start discarding cards from R&D, but he can only use it if he is tagged. So he's not tagged. But, you know, you see a data leak down, especially this early, and you know something is amiss. It's just not... Usually what people do with data leak is they put it down and they use it in the same turn, and then it usually gets trashed right after. Alright, we have Mr. Lee down. So Mr. Lee makes sense. It's just gonna... You see that in any usual criminal deck. Another thing to take note here is he has some resources, so this is a resource criminal. So I first click, I draw it. I think at this point I'm just looking for ice, econ, and agendas. Nothing too fancy. So I'm really trying to leverage the Wayland money to score out agendas the old-fashioned way, sort of. That's the idea. And I think there's... Okay, there's Jackson Howard. There's a Ash in hand, which will help out. And I put down a card. I actually missed what card that was. I have a new anti-glare filter on this camera, which I believe was being used for this tournament, so I hope that helps a little bit, although I don't know to what effect if that'll have a big effect or not. So first click, he's Mr. Lee. I bended my head there like I could just get a better angle on his cards, but that doesn't work in the video. Can't quite see what he's drawn there. He used Mr. Lee a couple times, so he's looking for something. Oh, money's money, that's good. Looks like he's gonna let me let that card sit over there, whatever that remote is. And apparently I have no money? Is that right? I must not have taken my money at the start of the game, right? What else did I spend it on? He wanted to hostage, but he only has one click left. Oh, my money is hiding conveniently behind my card. Being a commentator, I should track this stuff, but I don't always do that. So it puts New Angeles down. Okay. So now it's adding up, right? Data leak and New Angeles. Those don't work together too well because New Angeles only prevents a tag, and you need a tag to use data leak, but things are starting to add up, and I need to react quick because the disadvantage I have here is I do not have Sea Source, so I can't just land at, well, now at this point New Angeles up as well. But so I am fairly out of control with whatever is going on that side of the table. So I just want to start scoring out agendas before the situation develops further. So I install a couple pieces of ice, and I think I'm deciding if I want to install, it might be like an Atlas or something like that. Alright, just take a card. So I get a priority rec. Unfortunately, I have a power shutdown in hand, but that does not work on resources, so that won't help me here. Love to power shut down that data leak somehow. And I should probably also think about defending my archives in case that data leak turns on. But, you know, in most cases, they're either going to have that tag from data leak at the end of their turn, or they're going to have to clear that tag, meaning they're going to spend a click and 2 credits to clear that tag, and that's really hard to maintain. You can't really do that every turn. The thing to be thinking about here is just like, how is he going to get that tag? I think that's what I'm trying to figure out. Usually what people try and do, what I've seen a lot, is vamp. So that's why I'm trying to defend HQ a little stronger. Is just worried about a possible vamp play a few turns down the line here. John Masanori down. So Masanori will give you a tag if you fail a run. And there's Crash Space, which clears tags. So there's a lot of tag stuff going on here. He now has a way to give himself a tag with a click. He just runs somewhere and fails to run. He has data leak to mill cards after that, and then he could clear the tag with Crash Space. So at this point, he can... I'm trying to think if I'm missing. He could run, fail to run, data leak twice, and then clear the tag with Crash Space. So that means he can mill 2 cards a turn, as long as he can make a failed run without any big consequences. Like he could run into, something like a Wall of Thorns or something would be bad, because then he's losing cards in hand. But as long as he has a solid like end the run ice or an empty server like Archives, he could run on Archives and just not access decline, jack out. In which case, Masanori will tag. Okay, so he's getting some free money now. He put down another link with Global Sec, and he has Underworld contacts to give him a money a turn. So this is where I just score in the Hostile Taker. He's not really running, so bad pub I'm not too worried about. I got some ice out anyway. And I just want to score an agenda. I want to get some more money so that there's not a risk of something like Vamp. But I really need to score out one of those 3-pointers. If I could get a 3-pointer and res, like I could score at that Priority Rec and res a solid piece of ice over one of the centrals, that'll put me in a really good position. So he doesn't want to, he puts that Underworld down. So now he's getting 2 free credits at the start of his turn. So he could be triggering Data Leak now. There would be some risk. If his point of view, he doesn't know that I'm not running the Sea Scorch. So there would be some risk. But at the same time, he has that New Angelus down. So at this point, I'm definitely picking up on the, what's going on. So I oversight a Hadrian's Wall. So I really want to score at that 3-pointer. I should have. I guess I just didn't feel like I had enough money. Like that ice in front of the Hadrian's Wall is probably not enough to keep him out. So if I res the Hadrian's Wall, if he does run, then I have a res Hadrian's Wall, but I'm not able to score out the ice behind it. So I think I'm just scoring out a 3-pointer right now. Yeah, the Priority Rec's still in hand. Got a few pieces of ice and the power shutdown. So he's just building up some money. Looks like he's getting ready for some big play, either this turn or next turn. And 1 click left. I guess he had 2 clicks left. So he's going to get a connection. Joshua B. Okay, so now we could see what's going to happen. Joshua B is going to trigger. He's going to get a tag at the end of his turn. He's going to get an extra click. He could run somewhere, fail the run. He could data leak 3 times because he's the Joshua B click. He can clear the tag with Crash Space that John Masanori gave him, and then with the I still haven't put it all together yet what's going on, but I have most of it figured out. And so the Underworld contract's money is enough to pay for the New Angelus, preventing the tag at the end of the turn that Joshua B gives. And so he's going to be able to just, as long as he can make an unsuccessful run safely, he's going to be able to mill me 3 cards every turn until I Sea Scorch him or win by agendas. It's basically what's going on. So he's built out this engine. It's taken 8 cards, 8 resources, 9 resources. He's built out this little engine that just lets him mill 3 cards a turn. Okay, so I believe that's the Priority Rec I have down. Just, I'm kind of seeing what's going to happen. Okay, so here we go. He takes the Underworld money. Joshua B has 5 clicks. First to 5. he decides to make an unsuccessful run, so he does not access archives. So he gets a tag. He's data leaking 3 times because he has a tag. And his last click, he's using crash space to clear the tag. And then Joshua B gives him a tag, which he pays 2 money to clear with New Angeles City Hall. So this is his game plan at this point. He's got this engine online, and he can just continue to mill cards. And so he's probably trying to deck me. And so now I'm trying to figure out if there's any way I could disrupt this. And there's really not. The only way I could really disrupt it is by icing up everything with really some damaging cards. Or something would give him a tag would be good. But like a Trace would be good. A Caduceus would be good. At the same time, he doesn't really care if I take the money, though, because he's trying to deck me. And unfortunately in this deck, because my plan is to just score out agendas and leverage the huge Wayland Econ to do that, I have a lot of end the run ice. So I have a lot of ice that it's just going to end his run, which is exactly what he wants. So putting down ice is not really helping me in this situation. So what I should have done is I should have already scored out this priority wreck. I should be on my way to scoring another agenda. And it is worth putting down ice, especially over archives eventually, because he could get really lucky and mill 3 agendas in 1 turn and then just run there in the next turn. And so get a priority wreck and trying to see if there's anything worth rezzing. A toll booth would be great.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So he's choosing what to res.
Oh, because you ran out the thing that lets you res things. I was like, why are you staring at all your eyes?
So I think I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything. Yeah, okay. It's an archer. That remote server is basically off limits for the rest of the game. He's not really getting in there without an extreme amount of effort, and he's probably okay with that. So his turn is just mill 3 cards. He says. and it definitely works. But we're gonna go through the steps here so Chris can see how it works. So we'll go through it again so everyone understands. So he gets Joshua B extra credit. Unsuccessful run. He took his 2 money from Underworld. He spends 3 clicks to mill. There's the cards. Hopefully none of those are agendas. Clears the tag with a 5th click, and he uses his 2 credits from Underworld to clear the Joshua B tag. And so his turn is just to say mill 3 cards, which is I found to be pretty hilarious.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then slowly he's a...
And so yeah, this is a really funny situation. I mean he had to work to put this together. It took he's using Andromeda, so he had a lot of the pieces at the start, and then he got the Mr. Lee to help fish for the others. So I don't know how reliable this would be. I don't
Give me 4.
And if I were him, I might just consider running on archives on this next turn, because there's a chance that he could even... Okay, so I ice up archives because there are agendas in there. Beyond the previous turn, he could have even run in there for a successful run, drew a card with Masanori, and then just milled 2 cards, and I think it would have still worked out.
I'll make an unsuccessful run here and mill 3 cards.
Okay, so this was an interesting thing. That card he ran on... there is a period to res before he can jack out, so that's something to think of, and something that may come up later in the... But yeah, if that is a snare or something, he could totally jack out before the snare triggers. So he's deliberate running where there is not ice, because he doesn't want to risk some nasty piece of ice getting rezzed in front of him.
Yeah, this is the cheapest way to do it. Oh. Yeah. Okay.
And so now I'm realizing that face down card that he ran into, that he's going to run into again, there's something about it that I can use, which I'm deliberately not saying what's going on. It's not that exciting, but it was interesting. Some of you might have been able to guess what that card is by now. And so I think I just drew up, and then I do make a slight mistake here. That I put down a card, and I really don't want to be putting down cards at this point, because I'm just... Yeah, so his turn he says mill 3 cards. And it definitely works. So I tell him to just go through the steps. So his first click is run. And so I trigger the Jackson Howard, So it's this is just a weird rules thing, but Jackson Howard makes that server disappear in front of him. So in that case, the run is not considered to be successful or unsuccessful, so it doesn't trigger John Masanori. So I would be in a better position here if I didn't install that other card, unless that other card is also Jackson Howard. So I'm taking some face down cards, which probably agendas.
Right. I guess I need to keep track of my money though. Just getting quick. The game is a foot axis. No, I make it unsuccessful.
Okay, yeah. So that's when I realized that I should not have installed that card, which I forget what that is, but it's something like a pad campaign, or I think it's something like that. It's just yeah. I don't think I have snares in the deck.
It's helpful. And actually using so there's 1, 2.
Unfortunately, couldn't see what those cards were. But so I have a pretty good defense and archives here, and he really needs to find a way to get into archives at this point, because he knows I have Jackson Howard. So I just will draw those Jackson Howards, put agendas back in the deck, and then he really needs a way to go fish him out eventually.
For my turn, install advanced.
Okay, and so this is match point here. So he needs to get into that server, or he needs to start milling cards and get into archives, and he's just saying mill 3 cards. So that's his turn again, and yeah, that definitely works. It's just so absurd to me that that is a runner turn, just mill 3. So that was another 3-pointer I was able to score. So I was lucky I was able to get another 3-pointer before he was able to mill it. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting situation. I think his big problem was, well, first of all, building that engine, which he did do successfully, and he did do somewhat quickly, but I don't know how consistent that would be. Outside of that, while maintaining that engine, while running that engine, while milling cards, he also needs to build a rig and economy to eventually get into archives, because I had RSVP and Quandary over there. So that is actually a pretty expensive server. I'd be able to build that up over time as well. So as long as I had an opportunity to score an agenda, as long as I drew one, all I needed to do outside of that was defend archives. So I don't know if this is a totally viable deck or anything, but it's definitely interesting, and so I wanted to get it up on the channel so everyone can see it. And thanks for watching.